Hey folks, right back at you. This is a continuation of part 4 of my Theory of Everything presentation series. I ran out of time in the last segment, so I'm going to upload this in 2 separate videos. So moving back to where I left off, I was talking about these special places, and there's way too many to list. Like I said, if you get a chance, look up the Earth chakras for yourself, and you can go into each one. Maybe some of them you've been to, and maybe you can, kind of understand what I'm saying. Another one I find is like Philadelphia, the birthplace of freedom. There's a very special energy in Philadelphia, especially the William Penn Building. I think at one point it was like, or maybe it still is, like one of the tallest masonry buildings in the world, or something like that. Easter Island, you know about that. The Incas, the Aztecs, South America, some really interesting stuff. Anywhere where there's oil or natural gas underground as well. Iran and Uzbekistan. Someday I really, really hope to get there. I dated a girl from Uzbekistan, and please, 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 if you get a chance, search Google Iran architecture and Uzbekistan architecture. And I mean, like, Russian stuff is pretty amazing. They just built a new cathedral in Moscow for the military in like 18 months. Amazing, amazing. Like we have nothing here even close to the magnificence of this. But like Iran, Uzbekistan, these are like back before Christ. And like, I really don't think, even with all the resources that we have today, that we could even make anything close to it. On a side note, I used to say that Moscow had the most beautiful subways in the world. Search Tashkent, Uzbekistan subways. Amazing. Like, almost too nice. I mean, if you compare it to like a DC or something, out of this world. So that whole area there, some of these things, like I said, it doesn't necessarily just have to be where people built stuff. It can be like where they traveled. Like it's like the lines of travel and energy that traveled on there. And the Silk Road is a perfect example of this. It was like the ancient trade route, where they traded silk and opium, probably other things as well. One of my favorites, Sergei Posad. I've showed a picture in the past to my mother and I when we visited there. Very, very special energy as well. Cool story behind it. And how could we not mention Washington, D.C. and, the Washington Monument and so forth. Please note that and I've done a lot of research in this area, and I can totally account for this. The Washington Masonic Temple in Alexandria, Virginia, Mount Vernon, home of Washington and also where he's buried, and the Naval Observatory are all on the same energy line. Like, it's like really, really, really significant, that specific area there. There's a specific street, Washington Avenue, I believe. It goes from Mount Vernon to Washington, D.C., and one of my favorite places in the world to just walk. I walk there all the time. There's like a brick sidewalk, and just an amazing energy there. You can feel it. Literally, you can feel it. So I've mentioned in the past that at some of these places there's a higher prevalence of like UFO sightings, like on these special energy points. Like for me to say that, I can control cloud formations and, like other divine phenomena, maybe you agree with it, or maybe you think I'm crazy and I belong, in a mental institution or something. The other day, this is less than a week ago, I saw this disc. I'm going to try to get it. Does not want to go. I have a really cool, there's like a disc shaped thing. Looks similar to like a flying saucer. For whatever reason, it's not showing up too good. And then the behind it, the street is right on. That's the Masonic Temple. This is on the same street. So like that was behind me, and the other one was in front of me. Try to. You can see it. There you go. A little bit better. But yeah, it's like I have hundreds and thousands of these pictures over the years, like cloud formations, crazy sunsets where it looks like the sun is setting in the east, and just other really, really, really interesting stuff. And where are we at here? So yes, so like I said, eventually I'm going to get into that later. Okay, so note that man can also, in many cases, often like destroy beautiful energy points. Like there can be a really good positive energy point in a legendary place or point, and it can be screwed up or like turned the other way. Like I was saying, like, kind of like what Alanka was saying. Some examples of this are building on sacred burial grounds or hunting grounds, pollution, population density exceeding the carrying capacity of an area, or even just like destroying beautiful landscape or architecture and like replacing it with like crappy townhomes or something, which is like the whole area around Virginia. Like it's very sad that this is happening all over. Also places where maybe people were raped, people were like slaughtered. Casinos kind of go both ways, but like any spot where there's like greed or like people that are stealing, it's not good. Also electric pollution, like cell phone towers, power lines. Again, if you go to like places like France, you don't like the power lines look like they're from like the 70s. They're like, not like it is here. And like I said, also note that there's spots where that healing also takes place as well. Like there's spots like it can go bad or it can go good. Places that have positive healing abilities. So it kind of like gets into the ionized charge as well of things. There's like especially running water. The book explains that so like underground there's aquifers everywhere. Sometimes there's actually places where there's multiple currents across, maybe like 2, 3, 4, like underneath you. Maybe one's 50 feet underground, maybe one's 200 feet underground, maybe one's a mile underground. But anywhere where these two currents cross, then you have like different flows of energy. They say that there's a higher prevalence of cancer. That it's proven. Like they've actually done studies on this, and it increases the rates of cancer. And it can be like right beneath the feet where you are right now, and maybe you don't know it. Gets into, like I said, metaphysical healing abilities and like the antithesis of that. In my geology class in college some years ago, I did a presentation on dowsers, and specifically a divine person called Divining Ma. She was a famous dowser. Really, really interesting if you're into this topic. I highly recommend you look it up. But there's people that have this gift and ability. It's really, really intriguing. And it's, in my opinion, real. And traditionally, they use a willow branch to douse with, but there's many other things that they can use. Some people like to use aluminum. Some people use copper. Some people just use regular steel, or even just like trash or something. I want to close this out here soon by saying that for these energies to be created by people traveling, like there's also people that can create these energies too by people traveling in a certain place. Like I told you, I think in the past about St. Michael's Line. I'm not going to get too much into that, but if you're into this, that's another concept to look up, St. Michael's Line. Also, France is very special as well. There's the book by Bruce Cathy, and I actually never knew this before reading this book, but I believe it. And he says that apparently, like, Jesus survived the cross, and then after he survived the cross, he went to France and formed the Merovingian bloodline, which later is like where like Leonardo da Vinci came from and many other people. I totally believe this, and totally believe it's like part of the actual Da Vinci Code movie and one of the greatest conspiracies and cover-ups in all of time. The Priory of Sion is said to be the protectors of the Merovingian bloodline, but I can tell you that it is real, that there is a group of people that are on a pernicious effort to suppress and to kill these descendants of Jesus Christ and the ABRH negative phenomenon. Another one is Kentucky, around the home of Edgar Cayce. He was like the godfather of holistic medicine, the sleeping prophet, amazing figure. But supposedly, I forget what part of Kentucky it is, but just like if you go around his home, there's an amazing energy there just that exists. There's also in the book about the Hollow Earth, supposedly there's a gateway to the Hollow Earth in Kentucky. There's like several places around the world where there's like portals into it, and maybe that was part of it, where he came from. Jordan Maxwell talks about this actually too. Gets into the whole understanding of the Watchers and like pieces all this together. But like I said, one of my favorite, like I said, is in Alexandria, and that's right where the Masonic Temple, the George Washington Masonic Temple is. There's a big, Freemasons emblem out front. Total special energy there. Africa. I've heard many people, rave. There's this beautiful, pristine, virgin, shamanic energy there. Like, also UFOs. David Icke talked about in the past that there was like these people that could see, that like had many UFO sightings. Supposedly some of them crashed there even, and like white people came and like took the UFO and then like basically made all the black people take vaccines, and then after they took the vaccines, they could no longer see the UFOs anymore. Kind of interesting there. So again, I'm gonna end where it starts. Israel is what it all comes down to. It all comes right back to Israel in the end, in the third temple. And when it is finally built, some people actually believe that it's going to drop down from heaven. I know that sounds a little bit absurd, but when you understand the electromagnetic spectrum and spectroscopy, I guess it is plausible, especially if the true Messiah is unveiled. Not sure where I'm going to go with my next presentation. Sorry about making this one kind of choppy. I had a lot of stuff to fit in a short amount of time. Please take care, folks. I look forward to seeing you on the next segment of The Theory of Everything.